I'm Violet Blitz. I'm the game designer behind Witches of Winter, and this is Witch Talk, a little series about the inspirations and mechanics of the game. If you haven't heard of it, Witches of Winter is an upcoming TTRPG that's going to be crowdfunding pretty soon on GameFound. It's also part of GameFound's RPG Party, so that's like a cool mentorship program that it got chosen for that I'm very excited about. So this is Witch Talk number 3. Number 1 was about the dice system. Number 2 was a little more about the magic system. And I put up a poll on the announcement in GameFound. Please go follow the game on GameFound. Link is in the description. I put up a poll about what the third one should be about. And people were interested in the abilities and synergies within them that I keep kind of referencing throughout these videos. So if you watched the first video, you had heard that the dice system has a lot going on in it, right? It has skill dice and fate dice, which roll against obstacle and danger scores, and then the result of that roll is a success or a failure, and then a number of stars or advantages, which let you use reagents, see video number 2, and a number of threats, which let the storyteller, the GM, do certain things, like deal damage, or complicate the situation, or use a monster or a location special ability or something. So all that is going on in the core dice system. And the reason that it's a little more complicated than your regular success-failure is because all of those things, what size your skill die is, what size your fate die is, what the obstacle and danger of the situation are, and how many stars and threats you get, are all things that all the abilities in the game can mess with. That was what I was really excited about this game, is I've been playing with a lot of simple systems, and I wanted to make a game that had something a little more complex so that we could have really interesting synergies and abilities and stuff going on. So there are 6 walks in the game, which are like backgrounds, and 12 arts, which are kind of like classes. On character creation, you choose 1 walk, and you could have 1 or 2 arts, and you can get abilities from other things later. But each walk has 5 abilities to choose from. Each art has 8, so that's a total of 126 abilities in the full game. And at character creation, you can choose 4 of them from all your sources, right? You have 1 walk and 2 arts, and among everything available to you from that, you can choose 4. In the Quick Start Guide, which will, I guess this is an announcement, the Quick Start Guide, a free PDF Quick Start Guide, will be going up with the crowdfunding campaign, which is a completely free to play. It is a little smaller than the actual game. It's designed for one-shots, so a few of the mechanics that are more long-term have been taken out. It's very streamlined and fun to play, and still should give you a very good idea of what the game is like. In that Quick Start Guide, there's 52 abilities to condense your options a little bit. I'm going to be focusing on abilities that are in that guide, so that I don't overwhelm you with a lot of too much information. And another thing going up in the coming weeks is on my actual play podcast, Paralog. We're starting a season called Forever Falls, which is an actual play of Witches of Winter. And there are some characters on that with some very cool ability combinations, which I'll maybe reference a bit in this video, so go watch those if you're interested. Okay, so there's 12 arts, 6 walks. The abilities you might get from a walk are a little more narrative, a little more about how you interact with the society around you, what people think of you, what you're used to doing and good at. And then the abilities from the arts are include a good amount of that as well, but are also somewhat more mechanical, because each art has like a mechanical idea behind it of like what aspect of the game is this focusing on and messing with. So, Witch of Herbs, for example, messes a lot with the reagent system. Witches of Seasons messes with the season system. Witch of Stones is about having sure successes, like converting randomness into surety. Witches of Stars is about waiting for particular patterns to emerge. That's one we'll talk about today. Stuff like that, right? So all of those have a very unique mechanical idea to them. And within them, there's 8 abilities, and those are designed to synergize with each other. Some of them are kind of more flavorful, but many of them are also very mechanical, that like you can, if you read through an art, you can start imagining how all these things will work together. And then because your character will likely have more than 1 art, if not at the beginning, then at some point in their journey, these abilities, in some cases, really synergize with each other across arts as well. They are somewhat designed to do that, but they're also designed to have a fun play experience if you stick with just 1. Okay, so let me actually get into it in a few examples. I'm going to start with Witch of Herbs. So there's a character in our actual play named Gilly, played by Cam, and they have They're a Witch of Herbs and a Witch of Words, but they have 2 herbs abilities that work really well together. So, the way a reagent normally works is at the end of a roll, or from a roll, you will get maybe some stars, and then you can spend those stars to spend your reagents. You will have a inventory full of weird herbs and flowers that have special effects that can, like, increase your success, or not mitigate your failure, but complicate your failure in certain ways, let you do extra things after your roll. So, in order to use one, you spend a star and you spend a reagent. There are 2 abilities in Witch of Herbs that make that weirder. One is called Potion Bandolier. You always carry a variety of colorful potions and poultices around with you. Mark 1 on this track to spend a reagent without using a star. So if you roll and get only threats, or you roll and get no stars and no threats, you don't have any stars. But let's say you really wanted to use your Wolfsbane and do a little more damage. You really wanted to use your Alfalfa and find something useful in this scene. You can, if you have Potion Bandolier, you can mark 1 on this track and then spend one of those reagents as if you had a star. So that's very useful. You have too many reagents, not enough stars, there's Potion Bandolier. On the other side of that is an ability called Flower Skin, which is very flavorful. You learn to grow herbs on your own skin. It's dangerous and disconcerting, but surprisingly reliable. And when you take this ability, you choose a single reagent. So Gilly, for example, chose ivy. They literally have ivy growing off of their skin. They look like a ghillie suit, which is why they're called that. Shout out to Cam for that very cool idea. But so once per roll, you can spend a star and mark 1 on this track to get the effect of the reagent. So if they have too many stars and not enough reagents that they want to spend, Ivy is a healing reagent. It unmarks 2 from a track of you or the target of your action. They can just spend a star and mark 1 on Flower Skin, so it's not unlimited, but in that way, if they have more stars than reagents, they can always get an effect if they would like to. And guess what? These 2 work together. Potion Bandolier explicitly says it. You can use Flower Skin with this ability. So, you roll, you don't have enough reagents, you don't have enough stars, but you need healing. If you have both these abilities, you can mark 1 on Potion Bandolier and mark 1 on Flower Skin and heal yourself for 2. Which does mean unmarking 2. So you can kind of see where this isn't an infinite exploit, because you have to mark 2 to unmark 2. But that also doesn't mean it's useless, because you get to unmark 2 from any ability you'd like. So if one of your abilities is deactivated, you can use this to kind of spread the damage around, which is very useful in this game. So that's one of our synergies. I'm going to talk about a couple more, because I don't want this video to get too long. Okay, within the Witch of Stars. So Witch of Stars was my maybe favorite to design. It was incredibly fun. Witch of Stars is about waiting for certain, quote, constellations to appear, which means you have a variety of constellation abilities that you can choose as a Witch of Stars, and each of them says, okay, when you roll your skill die, and you roll equal to the obstacle, is one of them. If you roll 1 above the obstacle is another of them. Before you add any bonuses or anything, it's just about what the die says. So it's kind of waiting on this certain effect to trigger. And once it triggers, you get something good, right? Some of them are like you can deal damage, some of them heal you, some of them let you learn a secret about your target. But that, first blush, might sound like, okay, so I'm just waiting. That doesn't sound like I have much agency. There's a ability in Witch of Stars, which is secretly kind of its core ability, which is called Synergist. Syzygy as in multiple planets lining up in alignment, and Synergist meaning like you are someone that makes that happen. You're not just waiting for the alignment, you're making it happen. And what Synergist says is, you're an agent of fate, not just going along with its whims, but laboring and sacrificing to make sure the world spins how it's supposed to. Once per roll, you may mark 1 on this track to adjust the skill die's result down by 1. This will change which constellation is activated. So usually you'd be like, why do I want my skill die to be lower? I want it to be high so I succeed. But if you roll 1 above your target and you have a constellation that activates when you roll equal to your target, you might use this and shift down your die so that you get the effect you want. And then you can, after that, you can use the regular things in the game, like one of your abilities applies or you get a help from someone else to bring it back up, right? So this is like very weird dice manipulation to get your thing to work, which is a very fun part of the Stars art. And in the full game, that ability actually has an extra thing it can do. In the full game, there's a thing called burning, not just marking tracks. A burn, which is a little more permanent. It doesn't really make sense for a one-shot, unfortunately. But if you burn a track with Synergist, you can raise it up by 1, which is also super useful. So expands out what you can do even more. All right, last synergy that I'm going to talk about, which is again a within class synergy, although you can start to think about how all these things might work together, is the Witch of Seasons. There's a example character, not a character in our playtest, but an example character in the book named Willow, who's like my OC. I love her. She's great. And she has this combination of abilities called, from Witch of Seasons, called Inner Temperance and Sun Basking. So, if you watch the second video, you'll learn that there are 8 seasons in Witches of Winter. The GM rolls a die each day to see what season it is for that day. When the action you're using, such as like Charm, lines up with the season, because each season has its own action, your fate die will increase. You'll like get a bonus to your roll, essentially, because the world is influencing your magic. And what Inner Temperance says is, you have a sanctuary inside you, your own personal corner of the dreamscape. You often close your eyes and center yourself there. When you choose this ability, select a season. Remember Flower Skin, where you select a reagent. When you choose this ability, select a season, you always size up fate for that action, as if that season were active. When you roll that action and the season is actually active, you size up fate twice. So for Willow, for example, she chose the season Lugnasad, which increases her connect. So whenever she rolls connect, whether it is Lugnasad or not, she will increase her fate die, which is very, very useful. And then she has this ability called Sun Basking. When you or a nearby ally would size up fate due to the active season, parentheses, or Inner Temperance, they can instead choose to clear 2 marks on any track. So Willow, whenever she rolls connect, could increase her fate die and make it a more successful roll, or could choose not to and just unmark 2, which is, if you remember, the same thing that Ivy does. It lets you unmark 2. So these are like 2 very different builds of Flower Skin and Potion Bandolier, and then Sun Basking and Inner Temperance, but they're both healing builds. They're both healing builds in a really interesting way. Flower Skin and Potion Bandolier make you mark a few to make it happen, but Inner Temperance and Sun Basking says, okay, wait, when this activates, I get to heal, or a nearby ally, if it activates for them, they get to heal. They don't get Inner Temperance, unfortunately, so it's a little hard to heal other people, but healing yourself with Sun Basking is actually a very fun mechanic there. So, there's a lot of this kind of stuff, and each class also has additional abilities that interact with each of these things. So that's just a few examples of the very cool messing with mechanics that we get to do because of the core system of Witches of Winter. Again, there's a lot more to see. Go pick up the Quick Start Guide when it launches, and I will see you in the next Witch Talk. Please follow us on GameFound and fill out the next poll to decide what the next video is about. See y'all next time.